The all-new Tokina 85mm 1.8 ATX-M series lens for the Sony mount. $500. Question is, can this guy compete with all the other lenses in an already super crowded market for Sony? Let's find out. Before we start, to all you new subscribers, thank you. I sincerely appreciate all your support, and I'm super excited about the community of photographers we're building here. And if you haven't subscribed already, we're all about simple to understand photography and video tutorials, insights, and reviews. So if that sounds good to you, hit the subscribe button, you won't be sorry. Okay, let's talk about this guy, shall we? I mean, Tokina kind of splashes into the market price-wise with this lens. The question is, can it compete with all of those lenses at that level? Well, I put it through the paces this weekend, and I've taken some video with it and some test shots, and I'm going to show you those, and we're going to talk about what I like about it, what I don't like about it, the advantages, the disadvantages, and by the end of this video, you should have a pretty good idea whether or not this lens is right for you. But if you don't know Tokina, they've been better known for DSLR lenses for Nikon and Canon, and the ATX or Advanced Technology series, and now Tokina is wading into the market with the ATX-M or mirrorless series with this lens. So let's take a closer look at it and see how it sizes up to the other lenses. As far as build quality and size wise, the Tokina comes in larger than the Sony FE lens and larger than the Zeiss Batis 85mm, but it's smaller than the Sony G Master. Weight wise, the Tokina comes in at about 1.4 pounds versus that Sony G Master at 1.8 pounds. And the reason is it's fully encased in metal. I mean, even the focus ring is metal, so that's going to make it a little bit heavier. Even though the footprint's a little bit smaller than the G Master, it's almost as heavy as that lens. That said, this metal has a really nice feel to it. It's a deep black gloss finish, and the construction has a solid feel throughout. There are no buttons or switches on the lens, meaning no manual focus switch or focus hold buttons. And like I said, the focus ring is made of metal, and the texture movement is smooth. It's pretty firm, but it's got a solid texture as opposed to the Zeiss Batis rubber ring. And I actually like this better for the feel of it, though the metal does have a tendency to scratch and scuff over time, but this is just smooth in response and it doesn't skip or jitter, so it's got a nice feel to it. The filter thread size is 72mm, a pretty good size for buying filters that aren't too expensive. Unfortunately, it does not have a gasket or weather seal. So that's a little bit disappointing. I really like having lenses with that weather seal, especially since I live half time in the desert and the dust can whip up there, and so having that seal gives me a little bit more peace of mind. Another disappointment, but no surprise, is there's no stabilization in the lens, so you're gonna need a body that has stabilization if you want to go with this as your choice. As far as autofocus is concerned, for photos it was pretty responsive and I didn't find any problem with it. In fact, it pretty much kept up with the Zeiss Batis, and that I found to be the fastest of all the 85mm series. As far as video autofocus is concerned, it didn't have a problem with hunting there either, and it was nice and smooth and quiet, so this could be used as a video lens with autofocus if you choose to. So I'd like to know what you think about this lens. Is it too little, too late? Would you consider buying this over the Sony FE for just $100 more? Leave me a comment and let me know. And if you're considering buying the Zeiss Batis 85mm, I just did a video about this and a full review. I'll leave it in the comments below and you can check it out. Okay, so let's take a peek at some photos now. As far as color rendering, it seems pretty natural and pleasing without oversaturating, and there was no glaring appearances of chromatic aberration in my use out in the field. And so opening up here to f4 and then 2.8 and 2.0 for portraits, a more likely use for this lens, you can see that the eye autofocus performed well and the sharpness is excellent. Look at the detail here up to 200 and 300%. Super sharp and super impressive for this price. And Tokina made the decision to go with 9 aperture blades, and so the aperture ring produces a smooth and pleasing bokeh and focus transition. And it's clear here that Tokina chose to make the lens a bit larger than the Sony FE lens in order to produce that better bokeh and round circles of light. And you can see here in this series of photos that they achieved their objective. The bokeh and circles of light are nice and round here at the center of the frame, and they barely become cat eye shaped as you move to the edge of the frame. I would say they've done a fantastic job here. This is a $500 lens. I mean, this is really nice bokeh for this price. One thing to note is you can see a little bit of chromatic aberration creeping into the image here on the letters of Sony. Not terrible and easily fixable in post, but it's worth noting. Okay, so now the verdict. I mean, there's very little negative to say about this lens. It is a little bit larger and heavier than the Sony FE, but it produces a much nicer bokeh in my mind. And so the trade-off there of the size and weight for that might be right for you, especially if it's $100 cheaper. All in all, I think it's a fantastic lens and an amazing deal at $500, and I think it's one that you should check out. I would absolutely rate this a buy without any hesitation, and if you need an 85mm lens and you don't want to spend a lot of money on it, this is a fantastic deal on the market right now. Okay, I hope that helps, and if you think it does, please hit that like button as that really does help, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. There are plenty more tutorials, insights, and reviews to come, and I'll see you in the next video.